Hey, what's up guys? mltmagictricks here. So in today's video, I'm going to be performing and then teaching you this really awesome self-working card trick that will certainly get great reactions from all of your spectators. So I definitely recommend you guys stick around for this one, but really quickly before we get into this performance, make sure you guys do subscribe to my second channel called Big Time Trends, where I plan on posting gaming videos, compilation videos, or just really any good and high quality content. Because once we get that channel to 1,000 subscribers, at this point guys, we're only like 400 away, so I really would appreciate it if you are watching this video to make sure and subscribe to Big Time Trends. The link will be on the screen right now and in the description. And if we reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of next week, I will be explaining a big $150 Amazon gift card giveaway that will be taking place on Big Time Trends. There's going to be 15 winners, each winning a $10 Amazon gift card. So make sure you guys do subscribe to that channel. Once again, link will be in the description and it was on the screen earlier. But anyways, guys, that's enough talking. Let's get straight into this performance. Okay, so this is also a no setup card trick, so I'd start off by having my spectator shuffle up the cards as much as they want to until they are satisfied. So once my spectator's done shuffling, I would have them cut the cards, and I'll tell them to make sure the cut is pretty equal, so we have the same amount of cards in each pile. So it looks like we have a couple more in this pile, so I'm just going to move some over to that one. So we have two roughly equal piles of cards just like this. Now, I would tell my spectator to choose the top card in either one of these two piles, and that card will go ahead and be their selection. So let's say my spectator chooses this card right here, and while you guys are performing this trick yourselves to a spectator, you're just going to have them look at the card. But since I don't have a spectator here with me, I'm going to need to take a look at the card, and you guys will see why later in this trick. But don't worry, even if I look at the card, you'll still, understand how this trick works and see the end effect. So in this case, the card is the 10 of diamonds. Now, I would tell my spectator to place a card back on the pile where they got it from, and we're just going to lose the card into the middle of the deck just like that. Now, at this point, I would have my spectator deal 4 piles of cards just like this, dealing one card off at a time from the top of the deck, and I would have them go all the way through, so we are left with no cards. And right now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video so you don't have to sit through me dealing down all these cards. So let's go ahead and speed up the video. Okay guys, so once my spectator is done dealing the cards, the 4 piles of cards here, I'm going to go ahead and spread out each of these piles face up so we can take a look at the cards that are in each pile here, just like this. And as I'm doing this, I would have my spectator look out for their selection, because we're going to need to identify the pile that contains my spectator selection. So in this case, the card is the 10 of diamonds, and the 10 of diamonds is in this pile right here. That's why I had to take a look at the card, because we need to, like I said, identify the pile that has a card. So in this case, the 10 of diamonds is in this pile. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the other 3 piles because the 10 of diamonds is not in those piles. Now, at this point, guys, keep in mind if you're performing this trick, in front of a spectator, you're not going to know their card. Just your spectator knows the card, which is really cool. Now, you're going to tell your spectator to do the same thing here. They're going to deal 4 piles just like this, and obviously there's less cards here, so it will not take very long. So as you guys can see here, we have 3 piles of 3 and 1 pile of 4, and this pile of 4 is uneven. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of this pile because we want the equal piles just like this. Now, guys, we have 3 piles of 3 here, and I would tell my spectator to take the top and bottom cards of each of these piles and just get rid of them. We don't want them, so I would have them take the top and bottom of this pile, get rid of them. Same thing with this pile and the last pile. Same thing, top and bottom cards. We'll go ahead and get rid of them just like that. Now, we are left with 3 cards, and I would have my spectator just put their hands over to the cards. So let's say my spectator goes like this. Now I would say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this card right here. We do not want it. We're gonna go ahead and place that on the deck. Now, with my spectator's hands over 2 cards, I would have them just lift up either one of their 2 hands. It really doesn't matter. So let's say they lift up their hand right here. We'll say, okay, let's go ahead and get rid of this card, and we're gonna keep the card that you have your hand over because you really wanna keep it. Now, guys, we are left with 1 card, and the card that we somehow ended on is not just any card. It happens to be your selection, the 10 of diamonds. And keep in mind, like I said before, when you're performing this trick yourselves, you're not going to know their selection, but you'll end on their card every single time. So if you guys want to learn how to do this really cool self-working card trick that involves no setup, make sure to stick around for the tutorial. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that performance, and credit to Scam School for this effect. Now let's get straight into the tutorial. So All you guys are going to need for this trick is a deck with 52 playing cards. Make sure the deck you're using is not missing any cards, or else this trick will not work. So you can start off by having your spectator just shuffle up the deck as much as they want to until they are satisfied, because this trick is a note setup card trick, which is really great. So like I said before, the only thing you need is a deck of 52 cards and you're ready to go. So once your spectator has, shuffle up the cards, you're going to tell them to cut the deck in half, and make sure you tell them they make the cut as equal as possible. You want the same amount of cards, or roughly the same amount of cards in each pile, and I'm going to talk about that more in depth right now. So let's say your spectator cuts the cards right here. So guys, the secret behind this trick basically is you need to have 26 cards and 26 cards, or 25 and 27, or vice versa, 27 and 25. You just cannot be off by more than one card in each pile. So right here, this looks pretty even. You can kind of, look at the deck, both packets from a view straight on the table. You can have your spectator look and tell them and ask them if the decks look relatively even. If they say, okay, there's less cards in this one, we'll go ahead and take some from this pile and put it on here, because like I said, you need 26, 26, 25, 27, or vice versa. So let's say we'll just to be safe here, guys, for the tutorial, we'll go ahead and put one more in this pile, and we look ready to go. I mean, this is right about even, just like this. Actually, I'm going to put this one back over here. So, okay, guys, we're right about even here. I don't want to, screw up the trick here for the tutorial. So at this point, with two equal piles of cards, you're going to tell your spectator to choose one of the top two cards here from these piles. It can be either one of the two. So let's say your spectator chooses this card right here. And the really great thing about this trick is you do not need to see the selection. The spectator just looks at their card. So in this case, we have the 9 of spades. You're going to go ahead and tell them place your selection right back on the pile where they got it from, and lose their card now into the middle of the deck. So now at this point, their card is either in the 25th, 26th, or 27th position, in the deck. So just keep that in mind here as we go throughout the tutorial. So the card was the 9 of spades, and now you're going to tell your spectator to go ahead, make sure they memorize their selection, that's important, and tell them to deal the cards into 4 piles just like this. And as you're doing this, you can have your spectator do it. I like to have the spectator do it, during basically deal the cards here just like this, because if you're doing it, they may think you're doing something suspicious with the cards because, you're handling them. But if you have your spectator do it, it really makes the ending seem even more impossible, because they obviously are handling the cards, and it just makes the trick that much better. And, as your spectator is doing this, make sure you're kind of making small talk with them as you're doing it, because it's kind of an awkward silence if your spectator is just dealing cards and you're just sitting there saying nothing. So make sure you kind of are interacting with your spectator during this part of the trick, just to improve the quality of the performance. And now, guys, at this point here, we have 4 piles with the same amount of cards in each pile here. So your spectator's card is going to be in the middle of one of these 4 piles. Now, you're going to tell your spectator that you're going to spread out each pile face up. And while you're doing this, make sure you tell your spectator to look out for their selection. Don't make sure that, don't say what their selection is. Just have them look out for the pile that contains their selection. So guys, in this case, our selection, the 9 of spades, is in this pile right here. It can appear in any one of the 4 piles. Obviously, just make sure your spectator tells you, okay, my selection is in this pile. You're going to say, okay, keep in mind here, I don't know what your selection is. All I know now is that it's in this pile. Go ahead and get rid of the other 3 packets just like this. And what you're going to do here is just, like I said, get rid of the other 3 piles. You're just going to get rid of them. You're going to tell your spectator, okay, your selection's not in these piles. We don't need them. We're just going to deal with the pile that has your selection. Now, you're going to tell your spectator to do the same thing. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to do the same thing here one more time. What you guys are going to have here is 3 piles of 3. You're going to have 9 cards here, and then you're going to have 1 pile of 4. And you're going to say, okay, we have 1 pile of 4 here. It's uneven. We're going to get rid of it. So you have 13 cards here. Remember, 1 pile is going to have 4. You're going to say, okay, we're going to get rid of the pile of 4, because, guys, every single time, if you do this trick correctly, and you have a deck of 52 cards, and at the beginning of the trick, if you have 26, 26, 25, 27, that, the 2 piles are relatively even, their selection is going to be in the middle right here. It's going to be in the middle packet with sandwiched in between the top and bottom cards. So right here, every single time, this is going to be your spectator selection. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple ways you can end this trick using what is called Magician's Force. So What I did in the performance is an option. You can say, okay, we're going to go ahead and I'll have you eliminate the top and bottom cards in each of these packets because, guys, essentially you're just going to narrow down these 9 cards to this one because you know your spectator selection is going to be right here. So you guys can do what I did in the performance. You can have your spectator get rid of the top and bottom cards in each of these packets here, just like this, and then you go ahead and place your hands over 2 of the cards. Let's say they do this. You're going to say, okay, perfect. We're left with 1 card. Let's get rid of these 2. If they place their hands over these, you can say, okay, we're going to get rid of this one. Lift up your hand. Okay, perfect. We want this card. That's your boom. It's your selection. And go ahead and get rid of this one. They go like that. Okay, you're left with 1 card. Now, as you guys can see here, there's a variety of ways you can use Magician's Force to get to this card at the end. Just be creative with it because obviously, guys, you know that the middle card here is their selection. So one more time, when you get to this position here with 3 piles of 3 and you've done the steps correctly, if you're a spectator, you know how to dealt the cards and they said, what pile their selection is in, their card will be right here in the middle of this middle pile. And like I said, do Magician's Force here. You can say, okay, go ahead and cover up the 2 piles. They cover up these 2. Okay, we'll go ahead and get rid of them. Just narrow down to this middle card and you guys will be good to go. That is a trick. This card trick is a very powerful effect, especially since you did not see the spectator's card at the beginning. This is a really great self-working card trick, and I definitely recommend you guys do this one because it will get great reactions from all of your spectators. So guys, that is the trick. I hope everything made sense in this tutorial. It's really not too difficult of a trick. Just make sure you're following the steps correctly and you're telling your spectator to do the correct things in this trick to get to their selection at the end, and your spectator will be completely blown away. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave it a thumbs up. If you're new here to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Peace out.